Welcome back to another fantastic video. Today we are going to look at other powers of Congress. So things that Congress can do according to the Constitution that are not making laws. So we're going to start off today talking about congressional investigations. And a congressional investigation is exactly what it sounds like. It's a way for Congress to investigate or try to figure out what happened in a certain event, or maybe they're investigating certain conduct that a person had or something like that. Okay, so there are congressional investigations that are happening all the time, and we'll look at a few examples of those in class. What you need to know: congressional investigations can be led by standing or select committees. Now, those are two different types of committees that we're also going to mention in class. But you need to know that a standing committee is a committee that is always going to exist from one Congress to the next. Okay, so every 2 years when we have a new Congress, there's always going to be the standing committee on appropriations. There's always going to be the standing committee on intelligence. Okay, so standing committees are always there from one Congress to the next. Now, obviously, there are different people that serve on those committees, but they're always there. Okay, so select committees. A select committee is a committee that kind of pops up in response to a certain event. Okay, so after 9/11, there was a select committee that was formed dealing with foreign intelligence and surveillance and that kind of stuff. Okay, so standing committees, they're always there. Select committees pop up in response to a certain thing. Okay, next we've got subpoenas and perjury and contempt. Oh my. So when Congress is launching investigations, even though they're not like trials, they kind of sound like them. There are a lot of different things that Congress can do that sounds very similar to a trial. Okay, so first we've got a subpoena. And I know that's not how that word looks, but that's how it's pronounced. So a subpoena is a written request or a written demand for someone to produce documents or for someone to show up at a certain investigation hearing. Okay. So if you have been subpoenaed to show up, you have to show up. There's not an option. If you decide not to show up, if you decide to decline or deny the subpoena, then you are subject to things like a fine or maybe being held in jail and that kind of stuff. Okay. Next, you've got perjury. And whenever you are taking part in a congressional investigation, you have to put your hand up and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Okay. So perjury is if you decide to lie under oath. Okay. So some people, whenever they're in an investigation setting and they feel as though the answer that they would have to give to a certain question, it's either like lie or incriminate yourself, then they would take the Fifth Amendment and say, I don't want to answer that question. Okay. Next, we have contempt. And if you have been held in contempt, that means that you are willfully obstructing the process. Somehow you're trying to mess it up. Okay. That could be just refusing to talk. It could be running around, throwing papers in the air in the congressional room, whatever. But contempt is willful obstruction of Congress in the specific situation. Okay. So, in addition to congressional investigations, Congress also has the power of legislative oversight. And if you have oversight into something or on somebody, that means you're just kind of checking up on them and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, legislative oversight is the continuous review of the effectiveness of the legislative branch. Of the executive branch. So, Congress is always checking up on the actions of the president to make sure they are in accordance with the Constitution. Okay? And I will stop there with this video. If you have any questions, let me know.